everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is April and I make sewing and DIY fashion videos every week. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notifications bell so you never miss out on a new video. If you guys haven't noticed, this is my new studio set for my intro and outros. It's not finished yet, but I'm loving how it looks so far. Anyways, this week, follow along as I make my dress to wear to the Mulan premiere in Hollywood. Let's get started. The reason why I procrastinated on this dress is because I still had to get my regular videos up for my YouTube channel, and then once I posted my transformation, I started sewing the Mulan dress on Saturday, and the premiere is on the 9th. So I started drafting, my muslin and my pattern pieces, and that was a whole process. And then basically I started sewing on the 8th. So I sewed it in one day and finished hemming it on Monday morning. Alright, so this is a Saturday night. After a few design changes, I decided on this bodice shape that has an upwards curve to it. Originally, I was draping a plunging V bodice, but didn't think I could finish and perfect it in the amount of time I had, so a straight strapless bodice seemed the most realistic. But I wanted to change it up a bit, so instead of making it straight across, I designed the curve on top to try something new. After draping my bodice, I finalized my pattern pieces and cut 2 bodice layers from the lining fabric. One bodice will be the facing for the fashion fabric, and the other bodice will be for the lining fabric. You'll also need to cut 1 layer out of interfacing. This is a beautiful fabric I purchased from my sewing store. I really love all the colors and the fact that it has a lot of sparkle to it. Very fitting for a red carpet affair. To cut the bodice pieces from this beautiful fabric, I placed each bodice piece underneath so I can see where the flower placements will be. This part took the longest because I wanted to make sure I had the best mix of colors and prints on each piece. Once decided, I cut out the fabric around the bodice pieces, leaving some additional seam allowance in case I want to move any pieces around. Here are all the pieces I have cut out. Before assembling the bodice, I first fused the interfacing onto the wrong side of the facing bodice. And then hand basted the pretty bodice fabric over the interfaced pieces to hold it together so the floral print doesn't move around. Then you can trim the excess fabric away. Now we can assemble the outer bodice and the lining bodice together. Next, you'll need some boning to help hold the bodice up. Mine is inside a casing, and to sew it on, I first take the boning out of the casing to make it easier to sew into the seam allowance. You can leave it in if you want to. I just find that it's easier when the boning is not inside. Once all the casings have been sewn on, face the 2 bodice layers right sides together and sew along the top. Understitch the lining and then flip the bodice over to the right side. Moving on to the skirt, I cut a circle skirt out of the lining fabric and the fashion fabric. Then sew each skirt layer together at the side seams and then attach them together at the waist. Now I can add the plastic boning back into the casings, but make sure to trim them so they aren't extending into the seam allowance of the waist. And then go ahead and sew the 2 skirt layers to the outside bodice only at the waist. For the lining skirts, I cut an A-line skirt and sewed it to the lining bodice. And afterwards, I can fit the dress on me and sew in the zipper. I first sewed the center back seam closed with a basting stitch and then hand sewed the zipper in place to the outside layer of the dress before permanently sewing it on my machine. Then to attach the lining layer, I fold under the raw edges and hand sew it to the zipper tape. Lastly, close up the rest of the skirt and hem the raw edges of the lining skirts. For the sequin fabric, I just left the edges raw and used sharp scissors to keep the edges clean. And by the morning of the premiere, I finished the dress. Here is my final creation.
You've told me more than once to show you my intention. My brain gets blocked at times, but now somehow I'll give you my attention. You've got to know that I ain't a person who understands.
This is what the dress looks like without the pettiskirt underneath, which gives it some poof and helps it flow when I walk. I decided to create a separate skirt instead of adding tulle to the bottom of the lining skirt, which I thought was a good idea because I was gonna be sitting in the car for 2 hours, so I didn't want to flatten it. But I regret that now because I ended up leaving the pettiskirt at home anyways, so my skirt was a little deflated. If you follow me on Instagram, you know how mad I was at myself for leaving it, but it's funny because another YouTuber snapped my dress and caught me being all sad and mopey about it because my skirt had no poof to it.
This is insane, and I am talking about this girl's dress. Obsessed.
My dress is deflated. Let's be poofy. This is what happens when you procrastinate and make a dress in one day, y'alls. Definitely learned my lesson and will not wait until the last minute to make a dress to a red carpet event again because I'm gonna be exhausted and forget things. A lot of wedding and formal dresses actually have the separate pettiskirt underneath so that people can decide the silhouette they want, which is really cool. My dress still looks great without it, but for the Mulan premiere, I was hoping for it to be a lot poofier. Anyways, our first movie premiere experience was incredible. Thank you so much to Disney for inviting me and Eric. I even got my photo taken on the red carpet and my dress got featured on BuzzFeed. The title of the article was "Celebrities Looked Like They Were Out of a Fairy Tale at the Mulan World Premiere." So I guess I'm a celebrity now, y'all. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Eric and I had the time of our lives at the Mulan premiere. I want to say that strapless dresses are no fun to wear because you're always pulling them up. You guys gave me a bunch of tips on Instagram on what you guys do to help hold it up. I don't know, I feel like because I made the waist a little bit higher than the smallest part of my waist, that it kept sliding down to the smallest part of my waist, you know what I mean? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more DIY fashion and sewing videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!
A person who understands the